So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, welcome along to Myreside for tonight's match. The FOSROC Sprint Series game, Watsonians against Edinburgh A. We're about 5 minutes away from kickoff, so we'll take you through the two teams now. Starting off with your visitors this evening, Edinburgh A. Starting in the forwards, number 1 is Murray McCallum. Number 2, Patrick Harrison. Number 3, Angus Williams. Number 4, Jamie Campbell.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Myreside. A crisp spring evening in the capital city. The backdrop for a clash between two of the very strongest teams in the FOSROC Super Series Sprint. Last year's champions, Watsonians, taking on the professional players of Edinburgh A in the second round of the new campaign. Both sides enjoyed heavy victories in the opening bevy of fixtures, and though this one comes early in the season, it really is a clash to savour. The Watsonians under new management this season, with the experienced Stevie Scott replacing Fergus Pringle as head coach, and the former Scotland hooker has made a handful of changes from the side that swept Southern Knights aside last weekend. In the pack, the versatile Campbell Wilson is brought in for Carl Main on the open side flank. The East Lothian man drops to the bench. Up front, Mac Wilson has played Champions Cup rugby for Harlequins, while loosehead prop Harrison Courtney is a member of the full Edinburgh professional setup. The backline is piloted once more by the two wily playmakers Lean Miller and Jason Baggett, both with plenty professional nous, leadership and success in this tournament. No Murdo McAndrew or Lewis Berg for Watsonians today, both out of the squad altogether. The dangerous Murray Scott is given the number 9 jersey. Last year's top try scorer Angus Guthrie shifts from wing to centre. Rob Christie rotates his Edinburgh A squad, as he will throughout this brief campaign, to give maximum exposure to the burgeoning players in his group. Still fielding 2 full Scotland internationals in the pack, though. The hulking Murray McCallum makes his Super Series debut at loosehead prop before heading for Newcastle Falcons next season. And Glenn Young, a former Falcon, a Scotland debutant in the autumn, retains his place on the blindside flank. Teenage Scotland under-20 skipper Liam McConnell captains the side again. The two Charlies, Shiel and Savala, not involved in the halfbacks, so opportunities for seasoned Super Series campaigners Cam Jones and Bruce Houston to join forces. Cammy Scott, a star of this tournament last year with the Knights, while Cammy Hutchison will be eager to show his wares with his Edinburgh contract expiring this summer. Finn Douglas and Ben Evans, two frighteningly quick wingers, with Nathan Sweeney an impressive customer after making his professional debut a few weeks ago at fullback. Rob Christie flanked by the mighty specimen of Ross Ford, whose almost bovine quadriceps just about fit under the desk of the coach's gantry. Gareth Baber, the Edinburgh assistant coach of the professional team, wide on the right-hand side. Lots of experience, lots of coaching nous, and lots of excitement for this fixture as well, as Edinburgh A and Bruce Houston in the middle of your picture take the Myreside field. Team laden with quality, a real blend of experience and youth. And there's Angus Williams, former Watsonians player, large tight head specimen. So let's welcome our co-commentator for the evening. It's great to have the former Scotland Sevens, Glasgow, Edinburgh and Scotland winger Lee Jones with us for this one. Lee, this already early in the season is a real mouth-watering clash, isn't it?
Thanks, Jamie. Good to be here. Yeah, it's teed up already. Watsonians, the champions from last season, and then Edinburgh A with a new dynamic added to the competition this year. So we've got the experience, we've got the power of Watsonians going up against some youth, some full-time youth in the Edinburgh ranks, and there'll be a few players out there tonight with a point to prove. Some of the Edinburgh guys maybe not being kept on at the end of the season. Guys trying to prove themselves for the future, and Watsonians trying to stamp their authority at home.
Finlay Brown, a geography graduate from Newcastle University, is our referee tonight. And it is Edinburgh in the trademark burnt orange who get this capital city showdown underway. And immediately it's taken in by Neil Irvin Hess, financial systems analyst, when not trucking it up for Watsonians. An impressive performer throughout the past couple of years. Louis Ball, German age grade international, next to carry. The first exit of the evening for Murray Scott. The test for this young Edinburgh back three. Nathan Sweeney took it. Finn Douglas and Ben Evans both very, very speedy on the wide expanses. Here's Houston introducing the large figure of Pierce Phillips, the former Worcester Rock, who's one of those to be leaving Edinburgh in the summer, eager to show his wares. This is Scott looking for Young. It's gone loose, and it's well taken by Angus Guthrie, playing at centre rather than his traditional wing berth today. But Edinburgh A have turned it over, and they will go back for the initial fumble through the fingers of Glenn Young. But already a glimpse of the attacking ambition of this Edinburgh A team.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this back three with Nathan Sweeney at full back, Finn Douglas, who had a good finish last week against Heriots. I'm excited to see those guys. You could see their intent there, fielding that box kick early on and trying to push ball to width. Unfortunate knock on, but I think given the conditions tonight, both teams will be looking to play and the way in which Watsonians last season especially just controlled their set piece. They were really accurate in their launch plays, and I think they'll be looking to, you know, spin, put a bit of width on the ball with the backs tonight as well.
Bind.
That Watsonian set piece was so dominant throughout both the Sprint Series and the Championship proper last term. So many maul tries, so many scrum penalties eaten up. And here's the first one tonight. And that is greeted by a raucous cheer from the home coaching bench.
Number one hinging.
It's gone against the full Scotland cap Murray McCallum on the loosehead side, who just raised his hand in acknowledgement. And Miller punches Watsonians into Edinburgh territory for the first time. And a first look at this home line-out. Spearheaded by Cal Davis, who captained the team for much of last season with Lee Miller on the treatment table. A good throw to the tail, and to Louis Ball. Edinburgh infiltrating that maul well, though not allowing Watsonians the go forward they desired. Scott to Cal Davis. Spent a bit of time in his youth career out in New Zealand. Actually worked on the Barrett family farm with Bodie, Jordan and Scott. And now Dom Coutts in the line. Elusive fullback. Not the biggest of specimens, but very dangerous. And he has won the penalty, a high tackle on the marauding former Gloucester man. And back-to-back penalties, Lee, are so frustrating for coaches, aren't they? They allow teams to piggyback their way deep into your territory.
Yeah, and I think especially early in the game where both teams are trying to just gain a wee bit of momentum, a wee bit of a foothold, and the penalties will allow Watsonians to do that. They're a team that gelled really well last season, and they'll be playing on that going into this game. They know each other, the relationships there, and if they can get their set piece functioning, then that will give them a real foothold.
A well taken line out by Watsonians. Chance to enter the Edinburgh A red zone for the first time tonight. The missed pass, and now Baggett commits both Scott and Hutchison. Murray Scott to Guthrie. Big power athlete Angus Guthrie, 7 tries in the Championship last season. And then a mighty collision involving Louis Ball, and down the blind side went Murray Scott, and this will require some sorting out. Seb Cecil was trying to release McPherson, who had a run in. He was dumped on his backside. And Finlay Brown has got to decide the outcome here. It will be a Watsonian scrum, but really encouraging this from a Watsonians point of view.
Yeah, up the short side there, Nathan Sweeney, he had to come in. It was a timely intervention from him, because otherwise Murray Scott had spotted the opportunity. The 2-on-1 with Loman McPherson outside, and he's unfortunate there. It's like I say, a timely intervention from Nathan Sweeney. I think he's maybe lucky not to, for the referee not to have a wee look at that for the deliberate knock on, but he's managed to get away with that one.
Already Edinburgh A being forced into an early change. Will Butler, who's guesting today from a free agent's point of view. He was with Worcester Warriors last season until their very sad demise back in September. Heading to New Zealand soon to play some club rugby for an Auckland team. And it's young Ben Evans whose evening is brought to a sad and premature end. Perhaps if they can patch up that blood injury, he will be back with us, but 4.5 minutes is all we'll see of Ben Evans for the time being. And Will Butler, a very experienced professional player as well. Centre, winger, was Worcester's vice-captain under Ted Hill a couple of seasons ago. He will slot into that Edinburgh A backline. Solid scrum from Watsonians. Scott to Miller. McPherson coming off his wing, shackled by Cammy Hutchison. The ball is loose, and it's Edinburgh A ball, but it was loose because of a stray visiting hand. And that's 3 Edinburgh A penalties in quick succession.
Yeah, I think someone in this Edinburgh team's probably going to have to, have a word and say, look guys, every breakdown here we're getting pinged, just to allow them to, get through a defensive set to let them into the game. Watsonians more than likely will take the 3 points here and get on the scoreboard, but you'd imagine Liam McConnell there, if he's a young guy, but if he steps up and says, look guys, let's just play clean for the next few rucks at least and see if we can work our way into this game.
Lee Miller, who kicked 5 from 5 against the Southern Knights in the opening round of fixtures. Straight in front of the Edinburgh A posts. And it's a confident start from Watsonians. A confident strike from their captain and pivots. And they lead by 3 points to 0. Watsonians were prolifically successful across both competitions, the Sprint Series and the main championship last term. Played 16, lost just once. The home of the Ayrshire Bulls down in Millbrae were unbeaten throughout the Sprint Series. And ended up with 2 trophies to show for it. This, though, will be a chance for Edinburgh A to try and fire their first attacking shots of the game.
Yeah, Watsonians looking comfortable to go to set piece. They're happy to kick that out in the full, and as I said, they'll lean into that experience they've got there. A team that's used to scrumming and line out really well against a team that's not so much thrown together, but they're learning on the hoof in terms of their scrum and line out. But a great platform.
Good take from Glenn Young at the tail. And the first barrelling charge for Rudy Brown, the Scotland under-20s number 8. A probe from Jones. Phillips. Very hard man to stop, 6'8", 6'9". Captain McConnell. What a future he could have in the game. 18 years of age already, captaining the Scotland under-20s. As a star of this competition at 17 last year. Houston. Glenn Young on his first 2 Scotland caps back in the autumn. Seb Cecil, though, making a real nuisance of himself. Still the visitors have it. Houston looking for options out the back. Sweeney was one of them. Jones. Brown. Houston. Phillips. Hit well by Jason Baggett. Cecil again over that ball. Hunting for turnovers, Watsonians, and That abrasive back row, and they've got one.
Survived.
And the ball's just popped back on the Edinburgh A side, and Patrick Harrison, a try scorer last weekend, steals a metre or two. Then Young shunted over off the ball. Houston went to the edge, and to Sweeney, beats McPherson. Big collision with Guthrie brings Sweeney crashing down. Phillips, the pivot player. Houston looking for options outside him. Campbell was hunting for it. Hutchison looking to probe the corners, and that will find a very tasty touch. It's a good kick from Cammy Hutchison under pressure, Lee, but Watsonians will be heartened to absorb much of that pressure.
Yeah, it's a good decision. I was just thinking on that phase there, someone needs to... We'd went kind of width to width, Edinburgh, and you know, the Watsonians defence had held resolute. They couldn't find their way through. They probably needed to go to the kicking game, and it's a great execution by Cammy Hutchison there that pins Watsonians back. But the Watsonians defence, they're hitting hard, they're applying pressure on ball. There's a wee bit of time in the tackle there, which Edinburgh so far look like they've got a few ideas up their sleeve in their movement off the ball and the way they're trying to play the game, but they're not going to manipulate the defence if Watsonians are slowing that ball down. They need really quick balls, so you know they're going to need to get guys on the ball early, clearing those rucks, and have that realisation that Watsonians are looking to tackle hard to slow the ball down. But that's what Watsonians built last season on, was really good defence.
Some running repairs required for Jamie Campbell, who is back in the thick of things and back contesting that Watsonians line out. Shot out, and Irvin Hess takes a pretty cake with those crumbs.
Okay, hold in front. Don't
Miller
move.
in the pocket. And that's a good relieving kick. Sweeney for Butler. Left foot kicking option. There's a good one. And Coetzer keeps it in. Big fen, but good chase from Nathan Sweeney to bring his opposite man down. Murray Scott to Louis Ball. Seasoned campaigner at this level. Scott surmounts the large obstacle of Pierce Phillips and lands one on Cammy Scott. Real talent emerging through the border system. Brown. Jones, Houston challenging that gain line, couldn't slice between the heavy tacklers. Again, Watsonians gumming up that Edinburgh A ball. Again, Edinburgh A trying to conjure something. Patrick Harrison on the rampage, but there was a forward pass from Cammy Scott, and that will bring another Edinburgh A attack to a rather frustrating end.
Yeah, there was an opportunity there from the first box kick from Watsonians. Edinburgh managed to get players back really well, and it looked like there was space in the width. Edinburgh went to the kicking option, but it was well covered by Dom Coetzer there, and he covers the backfield really well. I think if anything so far, Edinburgh will try and get that ball, or they need to get ball to width of those counter-attacks, because there is space there. It's just the manner in which they get it there, but if they can identify that opportunity, I think there could be a bit of joy.
It's an encounter bristling with intensity in these opening 10 minutes or so. Cal Davis requires some strapping to that right arm. He's such an important member of this Watsonians group, isn't he, Lee, as we get a look at the new gaffer in town, Stevie Scott, with the shorts and the walkie-talkie. But Cal Davis, like Stevie Scott, a hooker, has been such a totemic figure for them over the last couple of years. Yeah,
his performance, I think back to the final alone when he was man of the match over that, however long that game lasted for in the final, but he was just a real leader across the season, a real pivot at the back of that maul, really strong maul play, so he picked up a few tries, but he's dynamic as well, and I feel you can tell the influence he has on this team when he's on the field.
Edinburgh beginning to put Watsonians under the pump at scrum time, but it is clean ball again, and it is Jason Baggett looking for that 50-22, and he's managed to turn Finn Douglas, who's scurrying back a pace. Sweeney under pressure, Baggett grapples him to ground. Brilliant kick chase from the home side.
Use it.
Edinburgh A regroup. Jones to Williams.
Last foot.
Jones again finds space to get that kick away. But that's a really good net yardage gain from a Watsonians point of view.
Yeah, and you mentioned them in the lead-up, Jamie. Jason Baggett and Lee Miller, those guys in there, they're known for just pulling the strings. The kicking game that they've got, and it's not just kicking the ball, it's kicking the ball with an idea to get it back. And we look at that there, Jason Baggett off his right foot as well, pings that left corner. Edinburgh struggle to get back. They have to clear. Watsonians now line out in the 22, and that's what you're going to get with those two guys in the midfield.
Terrific contest in the air between Campbell and Ball. It is Watsonians' possession, but only just.
Let it come now, okay? Let it come. Thank you.
Scott goes burying. Davis. Scott again. Good footwork from Mac Wilson, the former Harlequin. Played a couple of Champions Cup games for the famous quartered troops. This is King. Missed a huge chunk of last season with a serious knee injury. You see that left leg is still quite heavily strapped as a precaution. Ball met hard on the gain line. Good line speed from Edinburgh A. Scott thought about the blind option. Instead back to the warm embrace of his hooker Davis. Scott again. Edinburgh rushing up quickly. Mac Wilson once more. Scott. Miller. A lot of navy blue jerseys out here. McPherson had come way off his wing. And a jam back on the inside. Campbell Wilson. Miller. Threatening, dummying, committing two orange-clad defenders. Coetzer now at first receiver, looking to probe the corners. Covered just by Scott. And Cammy Scott can't do a whole lot with that. It's more intelligent playmaking from that spine of the Watsonians team. Coetzer this time applying the kick.
Yeah, it's smart, isn't it? They went width and came back, and there wasn't a lot of momentum gain, so they're able to just put boot to ball, apply the pressure back on Edinburgh, and again a net gain. It's good to see the short side wingers for Watsonians. Lowen McPherson worked well off his wing there to provide an option on the far side, and if those guys continue to do that, it could open up a few opportunities as the match wears on.
Watsonians line-out continues to function like a well-oiled set-piece machine. Such an important feature of their success of the past couple of seasons. All crumbles. Scott waits for his forwards, introduces Seb Cecil, who makes good headway. Scott again hurdling the defenders. Miller goes wide. Cutting in is Guthrie, and then losing the ball in contact. And Jason Baggett's run is swiftly halted.
Just a scrum, just relax. Thank you.
And neither side quite able to find that attacking fluency yet.
Yeah, it's an interesting game for Angus Guthrie coming in from, he played a bit of both last season in terms of centre and wing, but he's a big, powerful guy, and it'll be interesting to see how he fares in the centre tonight after his game last week on the wing with a try. You know, how he can kind of force himself into the game. He's got two great playmakers inside him. If they can use his obvious attributes with him playing on the wing in that 13 channel, then I think he could do a lot of damage.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Hold.
Pressure on this Edinburgh scrum. The ball lingering in the tunnel, and we'll have to do it all again.
We'll go again. Yeah, if you want, we'll come this way. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, please. Keep the height a bit longer, fellas. Let's get the ball.
Some interesting dynamics in the front rows. Both teams tonight. Harrison Courtney, who's an Edinburgh professional on the loosehead side for Watsonians. He's leaving the club in the summer, propping against his compatriot from New Zealand, Angus Williams, who will be here next season. Patrick Harrison as well at hooker, who was drafted out to Watsonians in the Super Series.
Advantage.
And it's a big Edinburgh A scrum, and that will yield the penalty. A lot of space in the backfield for Edinburgh A to exploit, should they do so. And here's an opportunity for Sweeney to slice through, looking for support, couldn't find any.
Over.
Penalty advantage already called over, so Liam McConnell shows and goes, and it's only half cut down. Jones to Butler, grubbering for Sweeney, finding only Dom Coetzer. Nifty footwork from the diminutive fullback. Davis out the back to Baggett. Again, it's that kicking option, but this time Edinburgh A wise to it. Baggett keeps it alive. Davis with a flamboyant dummy like a matador with a bull.
Don't push the ball into him.
Watsonians unsuccessful attempt to buy the penalty, so Beresford, prolific Jamie Beresford, 5 tries last season, breaches halfway. And now Scott will give Loman McPherson and Neil Irvin Hess something to chase, and it's a mighty collision, a fair contest. McPherson coughs it up. Butler, his passes deliberately knocked on by Campbell Wilson, and Neil Irvin Hess looks perplexed on the deck. What a collision this was, Lee.
Time off.
Yeah, Watsonians going back to the box kick. Yeah, nothing in it. I don't think it's a kind of, it's one of these rugby incidents in it. But yeah, Watsonians going back to the box kick. Dom Coetzer again just covering the backfield really well when Edinburgh were forced into just putting it through along the floor again. But Edinburgh managing to generate ruck ball that's a bit quicker, and they are finding space on the edge. There's been a couple of kind of long loopy miss passes. They're identifying that space, but I feel if they could put that through the hands, fix some defenders, then they might allow the likes of Nathan Sweeney and, well, Ben Evans is off now. It was Will Butler on that left wing. Just a wee bit more space. You know, that long pass almost plays into that space, but allows the defender just a wee bit of time to cover across. So through the hands might afford those guys in the width a bit more space.
Stevie Scott and Nicky Walker joining forces again.
Let's get this water off. Let's get everything off, fellas.
I've worked at various roles together in the national system as well. Stevie Scott, a much travelled head coach, Sale, Romania, North America, Worcester Warriors, and now back to his home city of Edinburgh. Very good to see both players patched up and able to continue. Nathan Sweeney rejoins the Edinburgh A backline.
Go a bit knock up.
And Neil Irvin Hess back in the thick of things as well. So Bruce Houston can try and pilot Edinburgh A downfield.
Don't forget Selkirk, RFC for Stevie Scott as well.
How could I forget?
I've got a note of that here.
Three.
That's all that's on your notes, isn't it?
I remember it well.
Yeah, Cal, you're better than that in the midfield. Don't push it into him.
Yes, quite a few proud sons of the Borders on show tonight, including on the commentary gantry and the coach's box. And Edinburgh A set up this maul with Patrick Harrison at the back of it. Watsonians struggling to tem the orange tide that's flowing towards the 22. Harrison waits for his moment. Here he goes. McPherson with a good double tackle alongside Coetzer. Phillips. Then Young scored a fine long-range try against Heriots last weekend. Hutchison stepping through, finding a soft shoulder. On to Jones. What a score, Edinburgh A. The first flourish of attacking fluency delivered by the visitors, supplied by Cammy Hutchison, and finished with speed and skill by Cam Jones.
That's a great score, almost against what we've seen so far in the run of play, but great line by Cammy Hutchison. He worked so hard with his leg drive to get his hands free, and it's so important when you're trying to offload that you want to win that contact before you even think of that. And you can see he almost gets it round the corner there, and it's a great support line by Cam Jones, and good pace as well to finish. That extra step of leg drive by Cammy Hutchison just opens that window, albeit a very short window, opens that window for the offload, and it's well executed.
Bruce Houston turns 5 points into 7. First try of the night to Edinburgh A. They lead 7-3. that offload gets more and more impressive every time you see it, doesn't it? The delay, then the timing on that pass, having freed the hands, floated beautifully off to Cam Jones. Cammy Hutchinson is one of those who Edinburgh are not retaining next season. Spent a bit of time in France with Stade Niçois, Scottish Rugby's partner club. Didn't enjoy his stint out there. Thought pro rugby might be over for him, but the Super 6 as it was then, and Heriots helped him gain a pro contract. And now once more he's looking for a new home the coming season. Up it went from Miller. Nobody claimed it, and then Lee Miller inadvertently taking out Cam Jones in the air. Cam Scott, I beg your pardon, in the air.
Tackle near number 10.
It's interesting there, isn't it? Because Cammy Scott almost jumped for the ball, and we'll see it again here. Oh, yeah, there's not much in it. I can see the reasoning, but there's also the element of jumping into the tackle as well. Edinburgh could do better to get someone under that high ball. That's a ball you don't want to leave bounce.
And Houston has missed touch, so Jason Baggett can send the ball back from whence it came.
Watson's on the 10. Thank you. Right, let's get in, please.
Well, it was this driving maul that sucked in so many Watsonians players for that Cam Jones try. The ball though is cocooned in there. Seb Cecil has got a hand on it. Edinburgh do eventually wrestle it back. And Patrick Harrison again looking for his moment to pounce.
Okay.
Trundling over the loose bodies.
Use it!
Now Edinburgh A must use it. Phillips back to Jones. Hutchison again steams into Lee Miller, who stands his ground. Jones, Houston, Cammy Scott looking for opportunities he had. Douglas with him. Campbell now, who made his Edinburgh debut last season in a thumping one over Connacht, not too far from here at the Dam Health. And there's Murray McCallum, who'll be playing in the English Premiership next season. Jones looking for Scots, and it's comfortable for the covering Kutzer. And already he's not hanging around. And that is a very safe touch from the Watsonians fullback.
Yeah, it's a really assured start to the game by Dom Kutzer. He's got a kicking game, he's sharp on his feet, he covers the ground well. You know, nothing stand out so far, but everything that's been sent his way, he's dealt with it really well. And he's grown into this game.
Did play a handful of games for Gloucester, the Cherry and Whites of the English Premiership, back in 2017-18. Came through the Hartpury system, which has produced so many top players over the years. And applying his trade in Scotland's capital. Phillips soars to gather. And Edinburgh's strategy is clear. They want to go up the guts and use their heavier forward pack, their professional forward pack, to knock Watsonians back. But Watsonians responding in kind. Now Hutchison off some loose ball. Jones, Rudy Brown. Houston in the pockets. No 50-22 on here, but that nonetheless is a fabulous kick from Bruce Houston. Missed touch a couple of minutes ago. That was a boomer.
Yeah, Edinburgh beginning to find their feet in this game. The ruck ball's become a bit quicker. It just opens up a wee bit more space in the front line, a wee bit more space in the backfield, and great execution there, Bruce Houston, which pins Watsonians back.
Oh, let's speed these up now, come on.
Finlay Brown, the referee, just encouraging Watsonians to hurry things along at line-out time. They go to the tail and to Cecil.
Once.
Scott under pressure, steepling box kick, and that's a very handy clearance without much of an angle to work with.
Here we go. same message.
You always have to be a wee bit disappointed with the touch judge, don't you?
Let's go.
Straight from the scrum half playbook, isn't it?
Please.
Come on, sir, I kicked it further than that. Edinburgh have been down here a while, but the throw from Harrison is squint.
Right, son, but that is so far. Scrum or line out?
So egregiously straight.
Not straight.
In the eyes of Finlay Brown. And Watsonians will take the scrum here.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
And you can see the angle at which Pierce Phillips has to stretch to gather that. It's a telltale sign for the referee. Already these two are the two highest scoring teams in the new Super Series Sprint table.
Set.
Racking up 40 and 39 points in the previous round of fixtures. Both scoring 6 tries, both dispatching Southern Knights and Heriots respectively. Get their campaigns off to the best possible starts. Miller off the free kick. Slams it long. Cammy Scott. Miller into Kutzer, who has the better angle to fashion that kick. And safely into touch.
Yeah.
Will Edinburgh be a little disappointed not to make more of some of the field position they've had, Lee, albeit they have got the game's only try so far?
Come on.
Yeah, I think so. They've had a couple of good maul attacks down here, and Patrick Harrison's a real threat at the back there that I think they can really use if they can get it going, which they look like they're doing now.
Playing Watsonians at their own game here.
Use it!
This time the hosts halt the drive. Jones, a miss pass to Butler. Houston, Sweeney in the line. This is the flying machine Douglas, still burning up the touchline. Grubbers ahead and salvaged by Loman McPherson, deep in his own 22. Did well to evade the first tackle and give his support a chance to get with him. And then trundling up the outside was Angus Guthrie, stealing a few more metres. Finn Douglas has such blistering pace.
Just down the 22, please. Thank you. Use it!
Scott over the shoulder. And we'll have another Edinburgh A line out. They really are camping themselves in this Watsonians half. What about this break, Lee?
Yeah, it was a real flash of pace, wasn't it? Finn Douglas. Don Coetzee brought up from fullback to cover the last man there. It was a good tackle, to be fair, but I was impressed. Finn Douglas had the kind of presence of mind to just put boot to ball as well to keep that move flowing. And he's not had a lot of ball in this game. He's taken a couple of high balls, but it's good to see him on the ball. And Edinburgh will be looking to get the ball in his hands a bit more after that.
It's a familiar sight, this Edinburgh A maul. Watsonians grappling to stop it. Still they trundle on, still they rumble into the 22, and Seb Cecil hauls it down illegally. So free shots for the professional side. Hutchison again, cleaves, Watsonians open again, and it's try time for Butler.
Yeah, it's okay.
Cammy Hutchin instrumental again, and almost out of nowhere, just a backline play that, you know, that subtle lift by Cammy Hutchison, and Will Butler finishes it really well. He's been put into, that's a sort of gap you want to be put into, and he's managed to finish it well.
See when you meet, you just come in straight away because I feel like you're meeting.
Cammy Hutchison fingerprints all over this again, Lee. The infringement first from Cecil. What does Hutchison see here that allows him to make that break?
I think Jason Baggett just takes a wee look in, his shoulders come in a wee bit, which opens up the space outside. It was created from the maul. The Edinburgh maul's been going really well in the second quarter of this game, and that just gave a bit of a platform. When you've got penalty advantage, it gives you that free license. We can try something here, and you know, potentially Watsonians are thinking there might have been a kick, something a bit more extravagant, but it's just a simple short ball. The gap opens up and it's really well executed. It's simple stuff, but it's tough to execute like that, and credit to Edinburgh.
Do you know the best bit of that try? And our camera's just caught it. A rather weary looking Murray McCallum pointing over his shoulder at the base of that rock, saying, "Don't give it to me, please. Give the backs a run."
He was on co-commentary last week. I just hope I don't have to play next weekend.
Okay, Murray, advantage over.
Might give you a break from the baby duties. Here come Watsonians again. Cross kick from Miller for McPherson. Oh, nearly. So nearly.
It's 2 knock-ons anyway.
Almost a wonder try from Watsonians. Loman McPherson, Aussie rule style above his head, just couldn't keep a hold of it.
He took it so well above his head. It's a pinpoint kick from Lee Miller. And it just caught on his hip. It just caught on his hip. I feel like Loman McPherson he'd almost done the difficult bit there. Unfortunate for him not to hold on to that one, but great enterprise by Watsonians.
Watsonians denied a try of the season contender.
Crouch.
Brilliant athleticism and awareness from Loman McPherson to rise so high, to claim the ball so cleanly, and just couldn't quite finish the job. Edinburgh A trying to march Watsonians back and win a scrum penalty. They're not getting one.
No, we're going to reset this. Lads, whoa, it's okay.
Oh dear, it's all getting a little bit angst-ridden out there. Liam McConnell, the captain, at the heart of it.
Watch them two.
Louis Ball, too, who has relieved Liam McConnell of his scrum cap for the time being. That's no place for backs, is it?
There'll be a few guys in these two forward packs that know each other, you know, through one means or another, whether it's been Watsonians guys playing at Edinburgh or the opposite way around, guys at other teams as well. So whenever there's a wee bit of familiarity in there, it can always, it's never far away from boiling over. But that's what you need, you know, at the coalface.
So I'm going to start with a penalty against Edinburgh, and 7's going to the bin. Yep, 7, it's a lifting tackle after the whistle. Away you go.
Well, after consulting with Kieran Stark, the assistant referee, Finlay Brown is brandishing a yellow card in the direction of the Edinburgh A skipper. And Liam McConnell, one of the rising stars of Scottish rugby, is sent to the bin for 10. And that's why the lifting tackle on Louis Ball after the whistle had gone, sparking that little fracas. The Watsonians went to the corner, and now it's their turn to try and trample Edinburgh A into the Myreside turf, but Edinburgh A have cocooned that ball so well. The 7-man pack of the visitors makes it unplayable and wins themselves a scrum.
That's a big win there. Momentum would tell you with the captain and back rower Liam McConnell going off there. You'd have backed Watsonians to apply a lot of pressure during that line-out maul and try and set up camp in the 22. But yeah, a real win for Edinburgh there, and they'll be looking to try and clear their lines and get to half-time with their 14 men.
There he is on the naughty step, the Edinburgh A skipper. But he is a serious, serious talent. Was in training with the under-20s at age 17, was captaining them a year later. Comparisons with Jamie Ritchie and the kind of snarling back row power that he brings to bear. Meanwhile, tackle over his own line, Rudy Brown, and the ball does eventually get grounded. Rudy Brown ransacked a horrible situation for the number 8. And it will be a Watsonian scrum 5.
There we are.
That's a great tackle there.
It's Campbell Wilson.
Yeah, just gets in his face, gets low. Rudy Brown struggling to make any ground, and Watsonians have managed to turn this over. This is a great attacking platform. Right-hand side scrum, you've got kicking options with Lee Miller, Jason Baggett, Loman McPherson kind of loitering there off his wing. Real attacking opportunity for this Watsonians backline if they can win clean ball at the scrum. I feel the scrums so far have they've been going either way, haven't they?
Set left and keep your space. Let's go. Time up.
These are big moments in this game. Edinburgh A down to 14. Got a 2-score lead.
Crouch.
Watsonians will fancy their chances of eroding that, of reeling in their professional guests from the Dam Health. Edinburgh opting to scrum with 7 here. Not packing down with a number 8.
Use it!
Still they hold them at bay. Miller, Baggett, numbers out wide. Scott King heading for the corner. Steamrolling Douglas, who has to act as a speed bump. Penalty Edinburgh A. And that is a massive defensive effort by the 14 men.
Holding on.
It's a fantastic tackle on the edge. I think, is it Will Butler? Watsonians rightly play to space. It's a great pass. It's Cammy Scott. Cammy Scott with the tackle. And then they're in there for the turnovers. At Nathan Sweeney on ball. That's a great turnover.
Cam Jones, I think, the scrum half of all people, with a crucial jackal. Bruce Houston pushed the envelope with that kick, but he's made brilliant yardage too. This is King's effort.
For me, I'm seeing a clear release.
It's a great tackle, Cammy Scott, and I think you're right, it's Cam Jones. Cammy Hutchison blasts through, which really helps just create that window for Cam Jones. And whenever you go to space, it's almost, you're running the rule of it's easier to turn the ball over, as shown there. It's a chance to finish, but if the defence do their job, you're almost a bit more susceptible, which was shown there.
Here's this Edinburgh A juggernaut ploughing a furrow through Myreside and through Watsonians. Jones caught behind them all. Seb Cecil, again, a thorough pest for scrum halves throughout this competition. Young gets Edinburgh A heading in the right direction again. And we're going to have to pause because Harrison Courtney has done himself a mischief. A possible head injury. We'll need to get the medics on to make sure that the big New Zealander is okay.
I'm really impressed with the way Edinburgh have grown into this first half of rugby. They've taken their 2 opportunities really well. Cammy Hutchison has just provided a real bit of class on both occasions, but then losing a man to the bin, but then 2 defensive interventions up here in their own line that could be really telling as this game goes on, because that's a massive opportunity for Watsonians to hit back, to get points on the board going into half time. But Edinburgh managed to squash those advances, and they've put themselves into a really good position and going into half time. They'll get Liam McConnell back on, and they can really, the momentum's with Edinburgh at the moment.
What will Stevie Scott be thinking right now as half-time approaches and his team face an 11-point deficit?
I think he'll be thinking about his time down at Selkirk, when he was coaching down there. No, I think he'll be, just as I said there, I think he'll be relatively happy. I mean, the opening exchanges of the game, Watsonians looked the more assured team. They looked the more controlled team. But just, as I say, a few flashes of brilliance from Edinburgh have put them in a really good position, and confidence is big because a team that's not played together that often, confidence is a big thing, and if they can take confidence from that first half, then they can grow, because the skill is there, the potential's there with these players, and it's just working that into a team environment, and that they'll only grow in confidence from those last few episodes in this first half.
Both Stevie Scott and Nicky Walker wearing pensive looks. Harrison Courtney, some single leg pistol squats. Good exercise, people. young Scotland under-20s, Lou said Craig Davison would be the obvious replacement for Courtney if he's not able to continue. I think he's just explaining to the medics exactly how he managed to hurt himself. Is it tough as a player like this, Lee, when an individual's down, there's a lengthy break, the game's been quite fragmented anyway, and immediately when the player's patched up or replaced, you've got to switch it back on again, you've got to find your accuracy straight away.
Yeah, I'm sure as a player you just want those periods of momentum in the game. You want to get on the ball, you want to build phases, and from my point of view, you know, playing the majority of my rugby on the wing, that was tough, because in order for you to get opportunities and to get ball on the wing, you need the game to be flowing right. You need phases to be built. You need to get a few phases into an attack to offer yourself as a blindside winger, or you know, to come off the 9 shoulder. You know, that takes momentum. When it's broken down and there's turnovers, there's penalties, there's injuries, it can be difficult. You'd much prefer a bit more flow in the game, but it's good to see. I think he's back on, and we're play on, so the players will be happy to get through this last wee bit and into half-time.
His first job, of course, Harrison Courtney, after being down for so long, is to anchor this Watsonian scrummage. And Edinburgh A looking to take full advantage of just marmalised that Watsonians pack. Penalty advantage. Hutchison inside to Douglas. Flat pass. Douglas scurrying forward. Jones thinks about left. Instead he goes right. Butler stabs it through. Phillips controls it beautifully, but he's not going to have the legs. The big giraffe on the edge. Out sprinted by Kutzer. Lovely first touch. Just didn't have the legs to follow it up, but Edinburgh will have the penalty.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing flashes, aren't we? Cammy Hutchison again, inside ball to Finn Douglas. Finn Douglas looks powerful when he gets the ball. It's just a small window of opportunity. And then Will Butler again just puts that ball along the floor, turns it onto Watsonians. And you can see the confidence building.
The advantage had been called over, so goal line dropout Watsonians. Edinburgh A will try and start again from deep, and it's Finn Douglas, the teenage sprinting sensation. He couldn't link with the teammates. He was coughed up again by a Watsonians player, so Edinburgh A on the counter. Broken field, attacking opportunities. Hutchison straightened. Houston, lovely delay on that ball to Butler, who loses it in contact. The officials have not spotted that. There was a knock-on in there. Don't have the benefit of a TMO to spool back through these clips. So Edinburgh A attack again. Watsonian supporters incensed beneath us. And this would be controversial if they were to score here. They do have a penalty advantage.
Tackle off the ball.
A hit off the ball.
No, pass is long gone, it's a tackle off the ball.
I think we've got a fortunate view of that there, Jamie. We could see it was there was definitely a knock-on. The Watsonians crowd and the players are probably feeling a wee bit aggrieved there.
Yeah, let's go, please.
Well, this might be the knock-on here. Houston to Butler. There you go. And the near side assistant referee, Kieran Stark, was close, but I think his view is obscured by the players outside Will Butler. And then Bruce Houston was duly levelled late by Seb Cecil.
Back off the ball.
And Edinburgh A in the final minute of the half can pick their weapon of choice here. They are going to the corner, eschewing the opportunity for 3 points in pursuit of 7. Bruce Houston not moving as freely as usual, as you'd expect after taking a flying crowbar to the exposed ribcage. But he is a canny playmaker, has played for the Ulster first team over in Belfast, where he's from. He might not need to see any ball here because Edinburgh A have it up the jumper. Rudy Brown emerging at the back. Phillips goes in to take it from him.
Okay, once,
the ball pretty stationary. Cal Davis has managed to get himself on the Edinburgh A side. They march it forward inexorably. inch by inch, metre by metre. Harrison! The power of Edinburgh A tells. Watsonians line breached again. And it's their former player, young Patrick Harrison, with a classic hooker score.
Edinburgh really managed to build a platform with this maul. And Patrick Harrison, he scored an outstanding try last weekend that'd be worthy of a winger's finish from a bit more short range here. But as I mentioned before, he's just such a threat at the back of that maul that defenders are always going to be wary have to defend that. But it's just the grunt work here. Glenn Young's in the centre of it. You can see Cam Jones, he's left it in there. He's probably wondering, can we release this? But the momentum gets going again, and Paddy Harrison just gets through the middle there. It's a good finish, another try.
He's such an exciting young talent. Patrick Harrison signed a 4-year deal with Edinburgh just a couple of months ago, and he has scored some belters, both for the pro team and for the national under-20s. Very, very mobile, very dynamic, and he can score from distance as well as from the back of those mauls from half a metre. So 2-2 for Patrick Harrison. Bruce Houston looking to go 3 from 3 off the tee. Lovely strike from Houston, and the 14 men of Edinburgh A have a third try before the break. They were under the pump early on with the Watsonians finding their feet and finding their momentum, but it is the professionals of Edinburgh A who have a firm grip on this game. Tries from Jones, Butler and Harrison, all converted by Houston. They lead Watsonians at half-time by 21 points to 3.
Just a reminder, if you haven't already noticed, there is food and coffee available on sale at the south end of the ground. And there is an open bar across the road in the Myreside Pavilion if you'd like to make your way across there to get yourself a drink. From everyone here at Watsonians Rugby, I'd like to thank our sponsors: Sutherland Independent, DHL, Harveston Brewery, Quarter Mile Group and Buxton Roofing. Thank you very much for your support throughout the season. Just a reminder of the upcoming FOSROC Sprint Series games for Watsonians. This is the last game here at Myreside. Next Saturday the 22nd, Watsonians will be playing down at Heriots against Watsonians at 3 p.m. down at Golden Acre. Then on Friday the 28th, Watsonians will visit Stirling Wolves.
Well, let's take a look back at some of the best of the first half action, and we'll start with the opening try, created by Cammy Hutchison and scored by Cam Jones. Brilliant offload this, Lee.
Yeah, I mentioned it in commentary. First, just the step of his right foot creates a wee bit of space, but then he bursts through the contact. And as you're always taught before offloading, you have to win that contact, and he wins it just that extra one step, and he manages to get that offload almost round the corner. And you know, I said it's a short window, but it's and you said it looks more impressive, you know, the more you watch it.
It's the footwork as well, to step in, step back out and free those hands up, and a great support line from Cam Jones too. Classic scrum half.
Yeah, it's clever, and I don't think Cammy Hutchison actually gets eyes on him. I think he maybe just, but he must hear him in his ear. Cam Jones must be, you know, calling that support line there, and it's a sharp finish by him as well.
Yeah, did pre-season with the Glasgow Warriors, did Cam Jones. He's a sharp customer, played in Wales and in England at a good level, and Cam Jones involved in this one as well. But once more, Cammy Hutchison, the architect, and allowing Will Butler to pierce that Watsonians defence here. Yeah,
Murray McCallum and Glenn Young doing a power of work in the maul there. It breaks away, which we then get the penalty advantage, which, you know, gives this back line the free licence to, you know, to try something. And Watsonians will be aware that there could be something coming, but it ends up being the simple option. And Cammy Hutchison, he just straightens up, and it's a short pop ball off his shoulder.
Yeah, 2 Cammy Hutchison assists. And Will Butler in from Bush the Warriors as a guest player. Just piercing between Baggett and Guthrie. Too much distance between the centres there?
Yeah, Cammy Hutchison does enough just for Jason Baggett there to turn in. You've got Angus Guthrie, who we mentioned before, is in off the wing. Murray McCallum, yeah, doing the good work. And Angus Guthrie, yeah, just so you're probably just thinking that connection's not repped. You know, it's not repped that much, and that can make a big difference, you know, going into a match, and it can just be half a yard, which it is in this instance. You know, Baggett turns in, Guthrie's just, you know, that half yard off in terms of reaction, and they end up with a good score.
Yeah, he was off the bench early for Ben Evans, who was replaced nursing a nasty head injury. Those 2 tries very attractive from a back's point of view. This one, though, will have forwards purring. A full 12-15 metre maul, and Patrick Harrison, the hooker, like all good hookers, plopping over from the tail of it.
Yeah, something I think they'll look to build on in this second half, and they'd come off the back of real pressure from Watsonians, having lost a man to the bin. They got themselves off a good backline play, a bit of field position, and then the maul, and it's just power there. And Paddy Harrison, I've been really impressed with him, just the way at the back of the maul, he always manages to get his hands back on ball. And I'd imagine throughout the course of his career he'll manage to pick up a few scores. And he just managed to kind of splinter through the middle here. And it's just real momentum. It's good work by the forwards, and they'll be pleased to get that, you know, on the scoreboard going into half-time.
Carries 2 players over with him, does Patrick Harrison. Campbell Wilson and Murray Scott flanking him, holding on from either side. There they go, pincering in. Murray Scott cannot quite get underneath that ball-carrying arm and stop the leather from touching Myreside turf. But Patrick Harrison has 3 tries and 14 senior appearances for the first team, and he certainly will be one to watch over the coming seasons for Edinburgh Rugby in the pro ranks. So 21 points to 3. Edinburgh A lead at the break as night falls over Scotland's capital city. What do Watsonians need to do to get back into this game, Lee? They've had a couple of moments. They had a real chance when Liam McConnell was sent to the sin bin, scrummaging 5 metres out, 15 against 14. They haven't quite been able to convert those encouraging minutes into all-important points.
Yeah, I think they just need it to swing their way. In a sense, you know, there's been a few opportunities. If you think back to Loman McPherson, great take in the air, but then it's fumbled. Murray's got up the short side really early on in the game, with Nathan Sweeney knocking on there. So if you look at those two, real good opportunities to get on the scoreboard, because the way Watsonians play the game, their kicking game's strong, they play tactically well, they're really comfortable in moving themselves around the field, but they're going to need a couple of things to go their way in terms of opportunities, and those things didn't go their way in the first half. So I don't think they'll stray too far from what they've been trying to do. They're also a team that have got a strong maul. Maul defence is a different kettle of fish, so I've been told. But both teams have got strong mauls in terms of attack, so and that's stood them in good stead throughout the last season. So I'd imagine they'll lean into their kicking game with that 10-12 combination and try and get their line-out maul going to get them a foothold in the game, and then hope that a couple of opportunities come their way.
There's Steve Diamond on the top right of your picture, Edinburgh's lead rugby consultant, assisting the running of the club towards the back end of the season. Mike Blair stepping down as head coach at the end of the campaign, and a new gaffer to be appointed by Scottish Rugby. Steve Diamond, one of the head honchos for the time being. Whether he wants to remain in situ or will be keen to take on the role vacated by Blair, we will wait and see. But certainly bags of experience. Was part of the bricks at Sale Sharks for a long time. Most recently, of course, director of rugby at Worcester Warriors, following the former Edinburgh head coach Alan Solomon's in charge there, and was keen to buy the club over when they fell on hard times and ultimately ceased to be a Premiership team back in September time. Formed a consortium to try and win preferred bidder status, but wasn't quite able to make that happen. So back in the coaching tracksuits and back on the rugby market as far as professional clubs are concerned. So the pro coaches watching on, and the pro team first to re-emerge from the sheds at Myreside. You can see they have made at least one change, because Adam McBurney has come trundling out of the tunnel. And it is Patrick Harrison who's been replaced. So McBurney on for Harrison at hooker. 40 minutes apiece for two men who are jostling with, well, soon to be jostling with Ewan Ashman, but Stuart McAnally and Dave Cherry primarily. There is McBurney, the Scottish qualified Northern Irishman. And we're almost ready to get back underway again.
Yeah, okay.
Remember, Edinburgh A still down to 14 minutes for the first 14 men for the first 90 seconds of this second half. Captain Liam McConnell warming up beneath us,
okay,
poised to re-enter the fray. This is Glenn Young, another of the Borders contingent.
Just stay.
Put it away by Scott. Kutzer. Watsonians need something, and they need it quickly. 18 points down. Davis shovels it on smartly to Courtney, who is certainly over that injury towards the end of the first half. Angus Williams slowing that ball down.
No.
And eventually, Finlay Brown does blow the penalty. Some big forwards just lingering in there a fraction too long.
Thank you.
So Edinburgh A restored to their full complements. Liam McConnell replacing the scrum cap that was ripped from his bonce by an angry Seb Cecil. That his pen and served, and back into the thick of things.
I think
Be very heartening, Lee, for Edinburgh A that with Liam McConnell off, not only did Edinburgh A not concede, they went down the other end and scored 7 more points.
Yeah, I'm sure as captain, Liam McConnell will be very relieved to see his team finish the half strongly. He'd have been disappointed to go off, but he'd have been dying to get back on off that half time. So yeah, he'll be, maybe had a choice few words just before he went off, but he can say he's done a good job in the captaincy there.
John Coetzer is down in need of some medical assistance beneath us. Watsonians fullback, who has been perhaps their brightest spark in this 41.5 minutes. But some claret on his scalp, so he is being duly mummified. Your hair's fine, Dom, don't worry. We have plenty to ponder, certainly, for Stevie Scott and for Nicky Walker. Watsonians really could do with scoring a try from this next phase of possession. Do you see a route back for them here, Lee?
Yeah, I mentioned it there. Like, if they can get a foothold in terms of their, field position and get their maul going, then yeah, they can create opportunities. And I'd imagine they'll come out in the second half with some real energy. You'd like to think they'll have some real energy and a real point to prove at home. They were the top team last season, and they'll want to prove that they deserve that title.
Well, this is quite the maul from Watsonians. Glenn Young goes in to slow things down, but he's dragged away by Davis. Harrison Courtney has the ball under an arm. Davis gets in and goes again. Scott whips it away, looking for the big boys, finding Jamie Beresford. Miller pulls it back for King. Thought he saw enough of an opening to put the hammers down. Cammy Hutchison again, rocking well, slowing things down. Cecil. Scott Coetzer was burning up the inside. Ball didn't go to him. Doesn't go to anybody in Watsonians colours, and it is hacked on by Cam Jones. Where's this bouncing? It agonisingly trickles onto the white paint. Otherwise, Cam Jones was hacking that all the way to Myreside pay dirt.
Yeah, Watsonians generating some quick ball there, but I feel they kind of ran out of numbers, especially on this left-hand side. That obviously wasn't intentional, but the Edinburgh defence really fill in the field well, and they've defended a lot better towards the end of that first half and going into this second half. 2-man in the tackle, slowing the ball down a bit, which just allows men to get on feet, and it's like they've taken a leaf out of the Watsonians defence book.
Edinburgh punched the line out too. Things going from bad to worse for Watsonians. Woody Brown almost backpedaling his way past a couple of defenders. McBurney, good delay on that pass to Houston. Hutchison, Jones to Sweeney, chipping the covering defender. Now it's a foot race. McPherson bats it back. And scrabbling away there was Angus Guthrie. A salvage job by the Watsonians defence. Now they're under massive pressure. Louis Ball held on his own line.
Use it!
Scott to bag it in the pocket. And he's fashioned a terrific clearance under those circumstances.
That's an impressive clearance, but some good play by Edinburgh. Just the hands to allow them to release Nathan Sweeney up the wing. I think Adam McBurney, I think there was a
time off.
Was there an offload near Cammy Scott? Great pass. And it's always a good option if you can bring that fullback up on the edge just to put it in behind. Puts pressure on that blindside winger, but Angus Guthrie, I think, and Scott King do really well there to clean it up.
Well, Harrison Courtney's race is run, not walking too freely after that injury just before half-time. And professional prop forward reduced by young Craig Davison, who featured in all 5 of Scotland's under-26 nations fixtures. Born in Zimbabwe, actually went to school at the famous Hilton College in Durban, South Africa, where some very big names have learned their rugby. From an Edinburgh point of view, it's where Roddy Grant, the former captain, went to school. McBurney sees a gap, ploughs through it. Up to the Watsonians 22. Looking for the fourth try. Hutchison again, carrying men with him. Jones goes blind. Sweeney 1-on-1 with Kutsar. Stumbles and slips and is held just short. Now it's the forwards. It's Murray McCallum, but Watsonians hold him up. Almost commando crawling towards the paint. The big Fifer. And Watsonians survive another onslaught.
Yeah, it's clinical work right up until the just getting it over that line. It was really clinical. Adam McBurney got off the back of them all. Since he's come on at half-time, I think he's had some great interventions defensively and in attack. He looks really keen. He broke off from the back of that maul, and then it was generated quick ball. Cam Jones down the short side, and Edinburgh really stepping it up.
Woody Brown rouses himself for another barreling charge. Jason Baggett gets him round the knees. Houston, crossfield kick. Sweeney after it. It's taken on the hoof by Sweeney, and Kutsar mops up so smartly. And Kutsar himself is no slouch. But the kick goes straight out, under pressure. And Edinburgh A will have the line out just outside the Watsonians 22. A great individual battle, that, isn't it? We don't often see the two fullbacks go head-to-head, but this is really compelling.
Yeah, good bit of play by both. Lovely touch by Nathan Sweeney to hit that on the volley off the shin, but it stays in, and then Dom Coetzee, like I say, his defensive covering is second to none. He's unfortunate with his kick, but he does well to get there. And this game's really starting to open up.
It was an unbelievable football-esque touch from Nathan Sweeney. Made his professional debut in what was a disappointing Edinburgh defeat to Connacht over in Galway a few weeks back. 22 years of age, his time in the pro ranks will surely come.
He showed a good couple of touches tonight, and he looks like a rangy athlete as well, with good pace, good skill, and good attributes for a fullback. But I know he can play across the back line as well.
Edinburgh A on the prowl for a fourth try. They have bossed the opening exchanges of this second half. And they have Watsonians on the ropes again, and the maul is taking all and sundry with it. McCallum carrying further. That was Rudy Brown. Jones, Phillips. Jones changes direction, shifting the point of this Edinburgh A attack, but the pass from Hutchinson going behind its intended recipients. Cammy Scott picks up the pieces. Cammy Hutchison, meanwhile, is down and injured. Edinburgh A play on with Mac Wilson. McCallum protecting. Cam Jones, Pierce Phillips, Glenn Young, and then Houston coughs it up. And Watsonians still hanging on in there. It's a long way back, but time is on their side, and the scoreboard has not moved further yet.
Yeah, no scorers yet, but I feel Edinburgh just really playing with their tails up in terms of the way they're moving the ball. They've got quicker ruck ball, they're pushing little offloads, and you see there it didn't come off, but you know that ball goes to hand and it's another quick pass, and that means they're able to find space, to create space, and get the ball there. I'm really impressed a couple of times Edinburgh just with their back line. The Watsonians defence has been coming in hard, coming one in, but the ability to lift, to understand that the player's going to be there, it's been there on a few occasions. And as I say, allowed them to create space.
No problem at all.
Stevie Scott jiggling that notepad away furiously, pondering how his team can find a route back into this contest. And Cammy Hutchison, who has been thorn in Watsonian sides,
Lads, we'll settle first.
is fit to play on.
Yeah, it will be. It's not a problem. There you go. Left here. See the standard. Keep a good height. Stay square. Perfect. Thank you. Up left, up. Cheers.
It is such a hard time for players in this congested recruitment market to try and
Hang on.
rustle up a new contract,
Time off, fellas, sorry.
try and find
Lads.
wages commensurate with
Time
what
off,
they've been
Ben.
earning. But on tonight's evidence, Cammy Hutchison has a bright future ahead of him. And certainly plenty to offer potential suitors out there.
I know, but here we are.
Yeah, the Super 6 series, or these first 3 games anyway, allowing these players just an opportunity to play, which otherwise might be difficult to come by. So, you know, these guys that are out of contract, it's just an opportunity to get on the field and, you know, show potential employers, you know, what they can offer. And Cammy Hutchison's not put a foot wrong tonight. He's been really instrumental in the way Edinburgh have kind of grabbed this game by the scruff of the neck.
Point. Set.
Penalty goes against Murray McCallum.
Loose head hinge. Hit higher. Number 1. Hinging.
Hinging into the hit with Angus Williams. A couple of times Murray McCallum's been penalised at scrum time, but the set-piece trend is very much favouring Edinburgh. There is the 135-kilo behemoth.
I thought you did. The same pictures I won the first half. Just this way.
And like all props, he can't quite believe that the penalty's gone against him. Line out from Watsonians. Cecil takes and Wilson breaks off. Irvin Hess. Haven't seen too many of those trademark barreling carries. Scott Beresford stepping on. Miller looking for options. Here's Baggett. Good inside ball to McPherson again. Chasing work off his wing. Numbers down the short side. Coetzer couldn't link with Scott again. McPherson scoops it up. Edinburgh defence a little disorganised after that mini line break. Cecil. And now Louis Ball. Scott going blind. McPherson again. Way off his right wing. Far on the left-hand side.
No.
As close as Watsonians have been for a long old time, this. Ball gets another carry. Phillips ordered off it. Miller hits Davis. Met hard by Hutchison. Scott again. Miller again. Ball goes loose, and it did go forwards. And Watsonians just cannot quite find the precision required to unlock this Edinburgh A defence.
You can see the disappointment in the body language here from the Watsonians guys. That was probably the first glimpse they've had, especially in the second half, of you know, really putting Edinburgh under pressure. They go midfield hit from their line out, they go same way and just find a bit of space, playing down a short side. There's a pick and go, and just really had the Edinburgh defence on the back foot. But that's where, you know, just being able to hold on to the ball, a wee knock on, it lets off the pressure. Edinburgh are then buoyed by that, and if they can exit, then it starts to change the shape of the game. But Watsonians can take a bit of confidence from the way they had them under pressure there.
Yeah, it's coming to you now.
A couple of changes being made by either team. On the Edinburgh A side, Finn Burgess. 5'7", Scotland number 20 scrum half is coming on. Cammy Hutchison coming off, so that means Cam Jones is going to move out and join the backline elsewhere. Finlay Burgess coming on at scrum half. And a change as well in the backline for Watsonians. Scott King, first start in a long old time for him after that long knee injury, is off. And Ben Riley, another age grade talent, is brought on wearing 23. Edinburgh A turning the screw again. And milking that penalty advantage. So Rudy Brown can maraud merrily on his way, knowing that penalty was coming.
Legal. The first fence is not staying square of the scrum. Absolutely nothing. But you've got to stay square.
Cam Jones moving to the left wing for Edinburgh there. That'll be an interesting point of view as a scrum half out there. See if he can work with Finn Burgess that's just come on.
Seems to be quite a common thing, scrum halves on the wing. I seem to recall certainly Lee Jones doing a stint at scrum half, points in his career. Jamie Dobie, most recently for Glasgow, playing on the left wing, scrum half by trade. Is it an easy thing to do? Well, easy is the wrong word. Is it a comfortable thing to do?
I went the other way. It was a long time ago, but I found it hard at first because you're involved so much with the ball to then go into to stand on the wing. You've got to find other ways to influence the game.
Time on, please.
But no, Jamie Dobie, for example, has done really well recently. Yeah, we'll see how Cam Jones goes tonight.
Dan Gamble on for Angus Williams at tight head prop for Edinburgh. Former Heriots player in this competition. Finn Burgess sends it high, causes a bit of confusion. Forward off an Edinburgh A hand, and Neil Irvin Hess taking no prisoners.
Okay, advantage over, Murray.
Scott Miller. Baggett standing deep. Wide they go. Coetzer. And Davis had to juggle, but he did hold on. Edinburgh A committing men to those breakdowns.
Don't touch him, don't touch him.
Making Watsonians work so hard to retain and recycle the ball. Miller in the pocket in the middle third. Couldn't get it by in Sweeney.
Just stay here,
Back
stay.
it comes. Miller again. Under pressure from Sweeney. Coetzer gives chase. Douglas. Houston. Territorial battle right now. First touch for young Ben Riley. He's fast too. It's a big old unit. Hair flying everywhere. Arms and limbs galore.
No.
And that'll be the confidence boosting introduction to proceedings for him. Davidson. Miller. It's Baggett in fact, with Pierce Phillips breathing down his neck. It's an enticing kick from McPherson to chase. Edinburgh A have it, and there is a penalty.
In a realistic position, play the ball. Tackle in the air.
McPherson impeded as he gave chase to that ball and contested for it. And Watsonians can now try and park themselves in the Edinburgh A half.
Both teams almost playing chess with the kicking game, and something that Watsonians really comfortable with in terms of the players they've got out there and the way they play the game. Unfortunate Loman McPherson trying to get up for that one, and he's impeded, so a bit of territory for Watsonians now.
6 orange.
Glenn Young's shift at the coalface is coming to an end as well, which means familiar face in these parts, Michael Badenhorst is coming on, the South African who's spent a good few years playing for Watsonians. It's part of their double winning squad last season.
Time on.
Now packing down against his buddies and old teammates. Now it's Watsonians who try to serve up a spoonful of Edinburgh A's own mauling medicine. But Edinburgh A have stopped that drive, and they will have the scrum. And that's impressive maul defence. As potent as that Edinburgh A maul has been in attack, that is just as impressive and perhaps just as valuable too.
Yeah, that's a big win in terms of maul defence, especially a team like Watsonians who generally get a lot of joy from their maul. It looked like Adam McBurney was in at the heart of that. Just carrying on from Patrick Harrison's performance in that first half.
Watsons, let's go. Yeah, go here. There you go. Let's go, Morgan. Come on, man. Crouch. Bind. Set. Use it!
Edinburgh in order to use it. Not going to be allowed to take the metres and win the penalty.
No, ripped in the tackle, play on.
Stripped by a Watsonian's arm, but Liam McConnell is punching holes and then losing the ball.
Advantage.
Watsonian's doing just enough to stop the rampaging teenager. And then Coetzer can't take it. It's a difficult pass for him. It didn't need to be so tricky. An opportunity spurned by both teams in the space of a few seconds.
Yeah, that's another big opportunity. It just needed someone. If that ball had been taken to square up. Powerful break by Liam McConnell. It was unfortunate just as he went to look for that offload. It was a good tackle, good covering tackle. But Watsonians again, you can see them just getting frustrated. As I say, the body language, that was a real opportunity. You're talking there was maybe a 5 on 2, 2.5. If Watsonians were able to square there, they could have put someone away down the edge. Little errors just creeping in. You can see it's really affecting the Watsonians guys. You know, because they're already chasing the scoreboard given that first half, and they'll be conscious that they need to get points on the board if they're going to make this a competitive match.
Another switch up front for Edinburgh A. That's Jamie Campbell trooping off towards the tunnel, and Alistair Campbell, former Curry Chieftains back 5 forward, is on. Oh, hang on a minute. There's been a little change. Either a miscommunication or somebody's changed their mind, because it's Pierce Phillips who's been withdrawn. Jamie Campbell was heading for a protein shake and a shot on the watt bike, or whatever it is pro players do these days when they come off. But he is back into the engine room, and it's Pierce Phillips. Towering Pierce Phillips, nearly 7 foot tall, who is the man to come off. Watsonians are about to make a couple of changes themselves. Johnny Morris and Gregor Skugel are stripped and ready for action beneath us. They'll hang fire for just a few more minutes. See what comes of this next attack. Scott Miller standing flat. McPherson off his wing. It's been a tireless carrier into heavy orange traffic. Irvin Hess. Wilson. Miller. Flat ball looking for Davis and for Baggett. As well carried in by Guthrie. Oh, Edinburgh have pinched this back. Murray McCallum floats a pass out. Cam Jones now playing on the wing, cutting inside. It's a looping pass from Jones, taken by Sweeney. Now there's space for Douglas, who has that blistering pace. Murray Scott well covered.
Yes, he has.
And the squat little scrum half has done very well to get that ball back on the Watsonian side. And now there is some slightly excessive rucking going on off their feet from Edinburgh A.
His entry's fine, but they've got to stay on their feet.
But right now, Lee, Edinburgh A seem to be feasting on every Watsonian's mistake.
Yeah, they're really building, they've built their physicality throughout this game. Watsonians are renowned as a side physically powerful, and they really impose themselves on teams, and that's why they've been so successful. But I feel this Edinburgh team have matched that physicality.
3, 5 and 7.
And then they're now pushing that beyond, and they're really starting to get on top of them, which is applying pressure at ruck time. It's winning little turnovers. It's just been a nuisance in the tackle, and Watsonians are struggling to get momentum. So, yeah, they've really matched them in terms of physicality and power, and that's probably what's telling in the score right now.
Trio of changes up front for Watsonians. Off go Mac Wilson, Jamie Beresford and Campbell Wilson. Gregor Skugel, Kieran Watt and Johnny Morris, the 3 men to come on. And that line out malfunctioning, but Irvin Hess makes the most of it. And Irvin Hess has real pace, burning past Sweeney, who recovers well. Irvin Hess not held, got to his feet. Watsonians a metre out. And the try scored by Johnny Morris. How's that for an impact? On the park, approximately 12 seconds. And he has supplied 5 precious points for his team.
That's an outstanding burst by Neil Irvin Hess. He's a powerful player. You can see it when he takes those kickoffs. Just real pace, and he squares up Finn Douglas there on the wing. He just has a look at him and says, "No, I'm gonna go." It's a great covering tackle by Nathan Sweeney, but the momentum's there, and you've got Watsonians players flooding through. It's made by Neil Irvin Hess there.
Every point precious at this stage in the game. Lee Miller will be keen to make sure the try is converted. Miller does the business as usual. It's an 11-point game now with 21 minutes to go.
A turnover line out's always an opportunity either way. But they do well. They do well to finish it. And like you say, Johnny Morris just off the bench. It's the momentum there. It still takes a bit of power to go over that line, and he does well. But the momentum created by that turnover is huge.
Talented hockey player in his school days as well, Johnny Morris. Scotland under-20s number 8. And getting his first Super Series minutes. Sweeney, Houston, steepling Gary Owen. Coots are covering a lot of ground, can't make it. Where's this one bouncing? McConnell rescues it.
Ball backwards.
Burgess, taken in by Gamble.
Okay.
Burgess probing that brain side. Cammy Scott brought down by Watt. Edinburgh A going through the phases, looking to kill off this Watsonians revival. Rudy Brown can't skirt around the outside, but numbers away to the left. Plenty wearing orange out there. Butler. Guthrie makes sure there's no offload opportunity. Barreling charge from Gamble again. Houston.
Dan, stop.
Crossfield up and under. Riley will leave it for Coetzer. And then forward off the hands of Nathan Sweeney. So knock-on advantage to Watsonians. Riley can't break the first line of defence. Irvin Hess.
Tackle! Use it!
Scott sends it high. Ben Riley encouraged to chase this. Houston has more time than perhaps the Watsonians coaches beneath us would have liked. Campbell. Big counter up from Watsonians.
No, Seb. Go clear. Use it now. Stay there.
It's a kicking duel just now. Baggett's under this one. Quickly back to his feet. And Douglas jumps on his back, brings him to deck. Oh, Cecil. Good low chop tackle coming in on him. Skugel.
No, don't pin him in. He's moving, don't pin him in.
Miller, little dink over the top, and Coots are tearing after it. Can't take it, the bounce not kind. The bounce is kind for Nathan Sweeney, and he's burning all the way under the sticks. And that should settle it for Edinburgh A. Searing speed from Sweeney. And the visitors flex their professional muscle.
It comes from the back of another kicking battle. Both teams putting boot to ball, which then manipulates those backfields, and then we see the little chip. That's always going to create a bit of space, especially with a bouncing ball. But Nathan Sweeney does really well just to finish off. It opens up for him, but he does well. It's an athletic finish.
Yeah, Coetzer's in the chase looking for the Miller kick, meaning that when Sweeney gathers the ball, there's going to be nobody back there to stop him.
Yeah, it's almost a 14-point play, isn't it? If it goes the other way, then, you know, there's obviously Jason Baggett's identified a bit of space there, but because of the bounce of the ball, it's gone in favour of the Edinburgh boys.
Houston converts the bonus point try, 28-10, and that feels like it should be that.
That's what you want to see as a fullback, fielding a high ball.
Edinburgh made their final forward substitution. Robbie Dean's on for Murray McCallum at loosehead prop. So only Lewis Wells, wearing 23, has yet to see action tonight.
top 17. No.
Here's Jason Baggett. And again, Coetzer on his bike. Coetzer making a real nuisance of himself. Spilled forward by Sweeney.
Yep, play advantage.
Advantage Watsonians. Coetzer ducking tackles now. It's been everywhere tonight for Watsonians. This is Ben Riley. Slips a tackle and another. Scots to Kieran Watts, who can't cling on.
That's no advantage.
The knock-on advantage
Take
wasn't
knock-on off the
quite
kick.
over.
No advantage. 2 phases, they've gone nowhere. Scrum.
Good physicality in the tackle there, Liam McConnell, just to force that knock on. They're going back for the play before, but Edinburgh defence again just filling the field off the back of that kick chase and applying real physicality.
Let's go. Here we are.
Watsonians heading for the first defeat since September, and the Ayrshire Bulls got the better of them in the Millbrae clash in the Super Series Championship. Just their second defeat in 2 years in this competition. Clean sweep in the sprint last year, and just that loss to the Bulls, who they overturned after extra time in the final, blotting the Myreside copybook. Scrum penalty.
17 hinging.
Robbie Dean's penalised.
Number 17.
Watsonians will go to the corner here through Baggett. And Baggett has arrowed that within 6 metres
Edinburgh here.
of the Edinburgh A line.
Lads, if they form them all, no set entries.
14 minutes to play, 18 points the difference. Losing bonus points, not beyond Watsonians, but they need to turn this opportunity into a try-scoring manoeuvre. They go to the maul. Davis at the heart of it.
Vantage knock on.
And it's knocked on. Again, they fail to execute that driven line out, and McConnell can spin it. And Edinburgh have got some flyers out there.
There's no advantage to
And the
begin
advantage
with.
wasn't quite over.
They're always under pressure.
A wry smile for Cam Jones. He knew he had some speedsters with him.
I think that probably epitomises Watsonians' night. Just, you know, if they had a chance of, you know, clawing their way back into this game in the last 15 minutes, that was probably it. They had to score there, and just a knock on. It's been little errors at the wrong moments that have caused them to, you know, struggle to force their way into this game, and the power game of Edinburgh just coming out on top again.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Use it!
Good platform for Edinburgh and for Rudy Brown, who takes Murray Scott with him. Fantastic line. It's Michael Badenhorst, of all people, making that burst.
Use it!
And Jones eases the pressure.
Okay.
Good yardage.
Yeah, just getting there. 15. 15. Where is he? Oh, he's right there.
And now Edinburgh will make that final change.
Time off, fellas. 15 orange. Sub.
Lewis Wells will come on for Nathan Sweeney, the man who scored the bonus point try. Looks to have sealed this second win of the season for the visitors. And there is Lewis Wells, who from Lithgow to Edinburgh Accies last season. It's very impressive for the Accies. He's tall, he's quick, and now making his Super Series debut. Baggett to Riley. He's looked dangerous since coming on. A real handful. No scrum half for Watsonians. Edinburgh A making a mess of their breakdown ball. Taken on by Davidson. Scots. Irvin Hess. Baggett. Coetzer in the line. McPherson lurking. McPherson kicking. Where's the bounce? Landing.
Carried back.
Rescued by Finn Douglas, but he had to carry it over his own line. So Watsonians will have the scrum 5.
That's good return for a A nice bit of play there. Lone McPherson almost reels it back in, and because it's carried over, they'll get a 5 metre scrum.
As a former Dumbarton youth footballer, Loman McPherson
Balance, feet underneath
only
you,
took
big
up rugby
fellas.
seriously when he enrolled at Merchiston Castle
Keep
School,
your
the
shoulders up, please.
famous Edinburgh institution. A couple
Time off,
of really
fellas.
serious
Don't think
ankle
he's going to be able to
injuries
scrummage like that.
stunted his progress towards the pro ranks. And Jamie Campbell, meanwhile, has
Time's off, Ben.
gone down with what appears to be a touch of cramp.
Time's off, so don't worry, Loman. I'll find out for you, okay? Ben, how long is left? Loman, it's just over 10 minutes left.
Will Edinburgh A be pretty satisfied as a group of players, as individuals as well, with what they get out of a game like
Here we
this?
are.
Yeah, I think definitely we talked about at the start, it's an opportunity for guys that are in there for whatever reason to put in a performance, put their hand up. You know, we've seen the likes of Steve Diamond here tonight. It's just a chance for coaching staff, for clubs, for players, for supporters to just get an eye on guys that potentially wouldn't be getting game time. So this allows them that platform, and I think on the whole they'll obviously be pleased with the way the results going, but there's some great individual performances in there as well.
Murray Scott whips it away. Loman McPherson careering off his wing. Slow ball for Scots. Irvin Hess, who's carrying so well. Watt had a shot.
No!
Morris looking for a double. Held up 4 metres out. Cal Davis taking the scenic route. Scott, Baggett, lovely ball to Riley! Super finish from Ben Riley. The young wide man off the bench and making a thunderous impact late in this game.
Ben Riley really deserves that since he's come off the bench early in the second half. He's looked explosive on the ball, he's been looking for the ball, looking strong, and it was just a case of getting round the corner for Watsonians, sucking the defenders in. He still had a bit to do as well. He finishes well in the corner, and if you notice, I don't know if we'll see that again, Dom Kutsia, he runs a short line just to take those Edinburgh defenders' eyes off the ball, which allows probably a quarter of a yard of space on the edge, and Ben Riley does a really good job of finishing.
With Lee Miller off, Jason Baggett has assumed the kicking duties. And that is a cracker, wow. What a strike from Jason Baggett. Watsonians not done yet.
See here, it's tough, hard work round the corner, hard yards. It's always going to attract defenders. And then that short line by Kutsia out the back, and a great finish.
Ben Riley was an under-18 Schools Cup champion with Merchiston back in December. Now he is mixing it with the big boys in the FOSROC Super Series. Irvin Hess. Watsonians' need is great. The hour is late. Can they take something from this game?
Back in.
Murray Scott can't go straight to touch here. Ball dragged back over the 22. Ben Riley commanded to hear after that. Missed by Jones. Edinburgh A pause on it now.
Nice, play the ball backwards.
Burgess to McBurney. Hit from Cal Davis. Burgess again. Robbie Deans. Burgess looking to put this in behind. Turn those Watsonians defenders. Baggett coming forward. Confident catch from the experienced customer. Davis.
Inside now. No, leave him.
Scott can go to touch this time.
Inside.
Baggett in the pocket. Doesn't find touch. Houston assessing his options. Looking for some unguarded turf. Some awkward bounce for Baggett, who's got no supports. spins out of one tackle, but is then melted into touch. Was forced down a blind alley by Houston's bouncing kick. And Edinburgh A can cheerily maraud into this 22 again.
Substitution, please, Cal.
Yeah, Edinburgh are just allowed to keep the pressure on. I think like Watsonians' exit strategy is generally they'll competitive box kick, potentially kick out. Because that first box kick came to the hands of Edinburgh, they were then allowed to kick back and pin Watsonians into the corner. And I think, you know, when you're looking at the clock and the way the score is, ideally Watsonians, if they're going to do anything, they have to go from deep. But it's a tough ask when you're pinned in at 22, and Edinburgh just able to apply the squeeze, apply a bit more pressure.
Watson, on your front man. Thank you.
Findurai on for Cal Davis at hooker.
In we come, Edinburgh. Edinburgh, in we come.
Watsonians' challenge is waning fast here. Burgess, McBurney. Burgess again pulls it back for Alistair McCallum. McBurney, Cammy Scott, grubbering through for McConnell. And Murray Scott has to slide in like a torpedo. He looks to have hurt himself.
Time off. Time off.
And quite rightly, Finlay Brown is
been hit by his own player, but there's a head injury here.
bringing things to a pause.
Thanks,
and you can see Murray Scott there down and in need of some attention. That looked to be a real sore one for the scrum half, sliding in to try and cover that ball and colliding with the legs of a teammate.
Edinburgh evidently playing with a lot of confidence there. Adam McBurney just pulling it back. Cammy Scott, you know, happy and willing to just put that along the floor on a what you'd say is a 50-50 ball. But the situation that the game's in, it's just applying more pressure to Watsonians. So, you know, if it comes off, all well. If not, it's applying pressure to the opposition. So, yeah, I think the trend of this match has just been Edinburgh really growing in confidence through that early score, and then really building on that coming out in the second half, and, you know, more of the same. And, you know, a lot of these young guys have really stood up, and the confidence has allowed them to gel a bit more as a team.
It will be, yes. It's been lost forward by that player.
Liam McConnell sounding the battle cry. But there'll be time yet to pause for breath. Murray Scott back to his feet. Watsonians without a recognised scrum half on the bench tonight. 6-2 split. Finn Thompson and Ben Riley, the two backs among the replacements, both of them on. So Lee Miller is going to be summoned back into the thick of things. Murray Scott not able to continue, and quite right that every precaution is taken with the head and the brain of the Watsonian scrum half, and the medics ruling that he is in no state to continue. No head injury assessment at this level of rugby, so he will be off for the final 6 minutes or so. And it looks like Jason Baggett is having to go in and play scrum half for Watsonians.
That's an easy job.
No, stand on. Well, lads, relax.
Yeah, it's good to see the precaution being taken there with Murray Scott.
Lads, this hasn't been an issue.
Any hint of a head injury, you know, I'm all for, you know, get the players off, get them seen to 100%. So that's good to see, and good call by the medics.
Into the final 5 minutes. Edinburgh with that 2-score lead, with the try bonus point already secured. The game firmly in their grasp. Another try would extinguish any hopes of Watsonians salvaging a losing bonus point.
Advantage.
Scrum penalty advantage to Edinburgh A. Burgess to Butler.
Still play it,
It's
ball's
all
gone
come a bit
backwards.
loose, but it's all backwards. It's all fair play. Michael Badenhorst took it on. This is Brown. Opted to cling on to the ball rather than release those outside him.
No, don't push it into him.
Burgess for McBurney. sandwich and a big double shot. Burgess rips the pass away. Cam Jones looking for Wells. Oh, the flag just goes up.
No try, we'll go back for the penalty over here.
Kieran Stark had a long look at that, the assistant referee. The toes of Lewis Wells must have grazed the chalk before he slid over the line.
A great pass by Finn Burgess in the lead up there. It came from the dominance at the scrum, which just allowed Edinburgh an opportunity. Great pass. Cam Jones goes square, and I tell you, it wasn't far away, Lewis Wells.
Watson, take the line.
Yeah, no TMO in the FOSROC Super Series.
Just leave the lifters, lads. Yeah, you're on the
It's
line.
all on the officials on the pitch to judge those ones. And Kieran Stark ruling that Wells' feet had just hit the touchline. Campbell rises highest.
Yeah, it's over. Once Edinburgh!
Edinburgh looking to end this game with a 5th try.
Use it!
With more forward power.
No 6, no 6.
Burgess now digs it out. Butler, scorer of the 2nd of the 4 Edinburgh A tries. McBurney swatting Watsonians players aside. Burgess again rips the pass away. In the shadow of the Watsonians posts, Burgess goes blind. Good hands. And now Douglas stepping, diving, scoring! Tremendous acrobatic finish from sprightly Finn Douglas on the wing. And Edinburgh A round this win off in style.
That's a fantastic finish, but the lead-up play as well. Adam McBurney again just making an extra yard. Rudy Brown takes the hit, and then we come back short side. There's some really quick hands here. And then the in and away. The gas, and then the finish as well, the acrobatic finish. But this just step in to step out is awesome by Finn Douglas there, and the acrobatic finish, he looks like a winger born.
There will be time for a restart.
And Cam Jones started the match as a scrum half, scored the game's 1st try, finishing it in the back 3, and as nominated by our colleagues at BBC Alaba, he is the FOSROC Super Series Player of the Match tonight. Bruce Houston then from wide on the right touchline. Not quite this time. Arrows it across the face. But this will be a resounding win for Edinburgh A as we enter the game's final minutes. And this looks like the last score of the game. Great step, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, it's brilliant. That's brilliant. Just the awareness, the spaces. As a winger, he's aware that space is on the outside, but that check just leaves his defender stuck. But then he still has to have that acceleration to finish in the corner, and he does it really well.
Penalty Watsonians, so they will have a chance to end the game with a try, end the game with a little note of positivity. Won't be enough either for a try bonus point. We've only scored 2 so far, or for a losing bonus point, because the margin of defeat as things stand is too great. But it would give these home fans something to cheer. Durai to the tail. Campbell leaping across, got fingertips to it, and Edinburgh A gobble up that loose ball.
No, 6, no. Ball's not out. Yeah, it is.
Burgess under massive pressure from Kieran Watts, but is able to get the ball out. And with the clock red, that will be that. In the battle of the capital, it is the professionals of Edinburgh A who upset the Sprint Series champions. A try-laden affair, an entertaining contest that ebbed and flowed, but Edinburgh Rugby A, with too much brawn, too much brain, and too much nous for Watsonians to handle. A comfortable victory in the end for the visitors as it finishes at Myreside. Watsonians 17, Edinburgh Rugby A 33. Well, let's take a look at some of the best of the action from tonight's affair. Neil Irvin-Hess, what a break this was to move Watsonians to within a metre of the line. He was held just short by Douglas and by Sweeney, but Johnny Morris off the bench, literally 30 seconds earlier, was on hand to scoop up that ball and plunge over. Brilliant run from Irvin-Hess.
Yeah, you see him just square up Finn Douglas. Finn Douglas does well with his pace to get back, but just creates enough of a gap to create that momentum across the line, and well finished by Johnny Morris.
A little dink from Jason Baggett that could have gone anywhere. Dom Coetzer couldn't get there. Nathan Sweeney could, and with Coetzer out of position, Sweeney had a clear line to bring up the bonus point score for Edinburgh A, and that was a killer blow.
Yeah, it really put the game to bed, wasn't it? Watsonians still chasing the game, and it's a bit of an all or nothing if that kick comes off. You know, potential opportunity for Watsonians, but it's well cleaned up and finished. And just that space in the backfield's created by, there was a long kicking duel and then into that chip kick.
Watsonians weren't done yet though. Ben Riley off the bench, the young teenage fullback, and this was a fine finish in the corner.
Yeah, and well deserved. They had a strong performance in that second half, and the power around the corner, good line by Dom Coetzer just to take the defender's eyes off, and he sneaks in at the corner. It's another good wingers finish, which we've seen a couple of them tonight.
Yeah, no shortage of talent waiting, literally waiting in the wings from a Scottish Rugby point of view on tonight's evidence. Good carry that from Cal Davis, just to get them moving towards that edge, and Baggett's miss pass allowing Riley to power over. A really impressive score that. But this might just have topped it as far as wingers finishes go. In to out from Finn Douglas, and an outrageous one-handed put down in the corner.
Yeah, the quick hands before there was two passes that afford him that opportunity. The space is there, and he still has to finish it. The in and away, it's a classic wingers try, and he needs that acceleration to get there, and just the presence of mind to lift his feet up there, dive into the corner and get the ball down is exemplary. Really well played.
So 5 tries to 2, 33 points to 17. Edinburgh Rugby A back up their bonus point win over Heriots with 5 more Super Series points here at Myreside. In tonight's other game, the Ayrshire Bulls, one of the stronger teams in the competition, were victorious 24-13 against the Stirling Wolves. And tomorrow is the turn of Heriots Rugby and the Southern Knights at 3 o'clock to Loughorns before live game on BBC Sports Scotland, 5 p.m. at Megatland. Boroughmuir Bears against what is a very strong, professional-laden Glasgow Warriors A outfit. Plenty more Sprint Series action to come across Scottish rugby platforms. So this is how the table looks, with 1.5 rounds of fixtures complete. Ayrshire Bulls and Edinburgh Rugby A joint top with 10 points apiece, 2 bonus point victories, and already those guys look like the teams to beat. Watsonians not taking anything from tonight, sitting in third with 5 points, likewise Stirling Wolves. The Bears, the Warriors A, Heriots and the Southern Knights still looking for their first points of the season. So next Friday we're live from Megatland. Boroughmuir Bears taking on the Ayrshire Bulls. That should be a cracker as the Bulls look to go 3 from 3 in Scotland's capital city and the fine facilities at Megatland. So a victory then for Edinburgh Rugby A. They retain their perfect start to the season. Their final match away to the Southern Knights before the pro teams bow out next season. Vital match minutes for the likes of Murray McCallum and Will Butler, who are heading for pastures new, and precious opportunities too for some of Scottish rugby's burgeoning young talent to show their wares before the professional coaches. It's been a pleasure bringing this one to you tonight. Edinburgh A victorious, Watsonians licking their wounds. We'll see you tomorrow for more FOSROC Super Series action. Bye for now.